Hey everyone, I'm joined now by Hunter Smith, who's an executive producer on Godfather 2, the game. Is that how you guys are describing it?
Yeah, Godfather 2.
Okay, so just tell us a little bit about the title, how you're going to progress the game. Obviously the first game was a big success, but what are you doing for the sequel?
The biggest thing we're trying to focus on in the sequel is taking you much further in the fantasy of being the Don. Last time you were in the Corleone family, you were a member of that world. You were a guy in the organized crime world fighting your way through. As you got to the end of the game, you got to be the Don. This time you start out in being the Don. And being the Don is really about making decisions about who's in your family, what specialties they have. And you're focusing on basically being successful in the world of organized crime. Last time you were kind of doing what was told to you. The organized crime, you took over the world, but the other families were sort of static. This time, they're playing the game. There's a whole strategy layer to the game that you're playing. The game is still an action game at heart, but you're focusing on being a Don, building up your family, and winning the game of organized crime.
Tell us a little bit about managing your resources and getting the other people in your crew to do things in the game world.
To be successful at it, you've got to figure out how are you going to take over all the other monopolies or crime rings in the game. You recruit guys into your family. You spend money on their specialties or their attributes. So they have different specialties. As you promote them, you can give them more specialties, like an arsonist or an engineer or a medic. They also have different RPG attributes, like their health and how well they shoot and how well they fight, and you spend money on that. If they get arrested by the cops, they'll be in jail for the week. If they get killed, they'll be in hospital for a week. But you can also do, like, if you take over all the adult entertainment, maybe one of the perks there is your guys get better a whole lot faster. So everything that you do in the game, from either a strategy component or the monopoly component, has a perk which plays back into the game, so it gives you kind of motivation to play through the game. The real goal behind putting the sort of strategy game was not to take you out of the action game, but to make the action game dynamic and to give you motivation to play inside the game. Sure. But you focus on the game on lining up the different organized crime rings. For example, like the gun running rackets. There's 4 of them inside the game. If you connect all 4 and you own them, all of a sudden all your guys in the game will have bulletproof vests, which gives you a 50% health increase. So you're constantly strategizing on how you're going to play the action game. It's an action game at heart, but you've got to act like a mobster, but you got to think like a Don to be successful.
One of the ethoses for the game, you said, was it's all business, and you're kind of currying favors with a number of key people within the universe. Just tell us a little bit about how that works.
If you think about the opening of the first 2 films, they were both a sort of family celebration in Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, and people were coming up to the Don saying, hey, can you do this favor for me? And they did that because he had earned favors from people of influence, whether it's like a DA or a union boss or the chief of police. We wanted you to have that same experience in Godfather. So, for example, the local DA is in Miami. He can do stings for you. So a sting, basically, he'll go after another family and take one of their made men out for a week. The reason you want to do that, those made men are basically mini bosses, and if you're out attacking one of their venues and they send their mini bosses after you, it's going to be much more difficult. If you go and do a favor for him, you'll get this sting card. You could get up to 3 or 4 or 5 of those sting cards, play them all at one time, and all of a sudden 5 of their made men are no longer available to attack. You're going to have a much better successful chance of being successful at that part of the game.
Can you tell us a little bit about the multiplayer aspect of the game at this point?
What we're really trying to focus on for the multiplayer is kind of 2 things. Taking your single player experience, taking that online. So basically you create your different crew member and your family members, their specialties. The modes are built around their specialties, so you play as your crew members online. You could also play as the Don. You can make wagers against other Dons, take your single player money and bet it against another player. As a Don, you kind of have a controller mode, so you're directing guys inside the game. You can use voice over IP to tell them what to do. You can also use waypoints to set them what to do. And how you succeed inside your multiplayer game, you bring those things back into your single player experience.
When's the game actually out?
It'll be coming out in early 2009.
On
360, PlayStation 3, and the PC.
All right, well, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you.
All right.